We're talking about Congresswoman Katie Hill, who has announced that she is stepping down from her position, or not running again. I'm not sure. Is she stepping down immediately? I probably should know that.
I think as of November 1st, which is today.
Yeah.
Which is a damn shame.
Yeah. So I don't know. Does someone want to go through the facts
so
of it?
redstate.org had published what is revenge porn, like her ex, and it was photos of her. She was for a time in a three-way relationship, a throuple, which Red State can misspelled, which is super annoying.
How do you spell throuple?
Thruple.
How'd they spell
That's
it?
not that hard.
Throuple.
Throuple.
Yeah.
This is the part you're mad about.
It's super mad about it.
just to get
Super
clear.
mad. Come on, people.
This is a callback to
All right.
Words with Friends. Spelling is very important.
Yeah, I was spelling bee champion in 8th grade.
Okay.
And so there was a few days of news about it, and I was already just sort of annoyed because who cares, right? And then she kind of abruptly resigned. She later said I think yesterday was her speech on the floor, her resignation speech, and she said that there was a threat of many more pictures being released. A few things. They were not selfies. Like a lot of these were actually taken by her ex-husband.
Who was a willing participant in the throuple for a while.
Right.
Yes,
And
then
then turned into an abusive, disgusting, misogynist stalker.
Right.
She
So
broke off the whole thing, right?
and
She
then
broke up with the staffer. She broke up with him.
and then he couldn't own her anymore. And as often happens with jackasses, when they feel that they own women.
He did FOIA requests on all her friends.
No, not that one.
Okay,
Not that.
sorry.
He did revenge porn. Close. So she stepped down. So, and I was at first, I was so bummed that she stepped down. And then I was reading someone on Twitter, saying, look, people need to back off of her. He'd been threatening this, I guess, for a while, and that someone is living under a threat of this, and then it happens, and the public shame. And if she needs time to herself, that's for her to decide. I just think it's a shame that men in politics seem to get treated differently. Transition to
So I wrote an op-ed because I'd been thinking about it for a couple days. I'd been watching this, and truly, we're starting to see, as more women get into politics, this is just gonna happen more and more, right? So women have been traditionally at 25 to 30% of political at the top end, sometimes much less in state legislatures and Congress. But now we're starting to see several women are running for president. We've got record numbers that won in this last election cycle. And so what is happening is that you're going to start to see women in what has been a traditionally male situation of a sex scandal. And
because
as
women
members,
have personal
if they've
foibles.
Googled me, right, people have Googled me 8 years ago, that was very much a reality for me. And my world blew up around an affair that I was having, which I've been really open about admitting. But I think the question is not will we?
You wrote an op-ed in the Star Tribune, so
I wrote an op-ed in the Star Tribune.
Look for it, because
Correct.
Don't Google her if you're watching on.
No, but you can
YouTube.
Google Amy Koch op-ed
Star Tribune and stop there.
Be very specific.
This week.
This week. Anyway, so the point that my just looking ahead is if we talk about women in politics, which is already it's a tougher row for women to hoe for a lot of reasons in politics. I said hoe. Thanks for being children. Thank you for
Hey,
being
we were letting you
children.
finish. We were letting you.
You weren't.
I'm
You weren't.
gonna let you finish.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a tougher road for women anyway in politics to get there. They just face more scrutiny. That's just the facts. When women run, there's a lot of variety of reasons, but there's a reason that only about 25 to 30% of women in politics are women in politics. Anyway, my point was, if we're gonna, and I really do this, I don't choose people based on gender. I choose people based on their merits and their qualifications, which I think is right. Then when people fail, they should also be treated equally. And I worry with the Katie Hill situation, based on what I experienced, that even in failure, women are going to not receive equal treatment. And so I had to face a really hard question, which I never wanted to answer. And I got asked 1,000 times in 2012, do you think this would have happened to you if you were a man? And I would avoid the question. I would ignore the question. I would hem and haw and, oh, well, some people have said that. I would try to do the Brian McDaniel thing.
Republicans say,
some people have said, because I don't want to answer that question, right? Because then you're a victim, then you're whiny, then you're all these things, which is garbage. The truth
you're
is,
just stating fact.
I was treated differently. I don't believe that one of the guys in my caucus would have gone down this way. They took me to they actually under false pretenses brought me to a location. They said they had a person that had dropped me off. They sent them away. They said, you're going to resign, or we're going to publicly out this. And when I tried to, at the time actually they weren't allowing me to call anyone. I said, I need to call and talk to my at the time husband, and they were hesitant to even allow me out of the room to make a phone call. They expected me to shut everything down. So do I think that it would have been like that if it had been a guy? Absolutely not.
Amy, refresh my memory. Did they tell you needed to resign your seat or just your leadership
My
position?
leadership.
Yeah, okay.
My leadership.
That was the deal you had. And then
the final thing coming out of it was like, listen, I will step down as leader and I'll say it's for personal reasons, which is what happened. And in exchange, like, you have to be thoughtful about the staff person and like, let's handle this like grown-ups and not make this a monster, like basically don't, like, I don't know what to say. Like, don't shame me in front of the state of Minnesota, everyone.
Right.
Is that necessary for what this?
And that was your agreement that they wouldn't do that.
And there was agreement. And then 3 days
said,
after I announced that I was resigning as majority leader for personal reasons, they had a press conference, and it was a 45-minute to an hour ordeal where very, very personal questions were asked. I was not told about it. There were no allegations of something illegal. There was no funds misused. There was no lurid photos. There was none of that. Only that I had an affair, which was wrong. I was wrong. But how it was handled was particularly harsh, and I didn't say it for a very long time. I was protecting everybody. I wanted the story to go away. I was horribly ashamed and embarrassed. I had a husband who at the time had known what was going on. We were just trying to figure out our marriage, which makes it extra difficult. It was right before Christmas and my daughter's birthday, and we had decided to separate, and we were just going to sit her down after her birthday and tell her, and then everything blew up the week before.
Because the news came out on December 16th. I remember that because it was my birthday.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, Brian.
Can I say something, Amy? Because we've had this conversation and we are very close friends. And you have said on multiple occasions that I didn't want to seem whiny. I didn't want to be a victim. And I just want to say that the messages that you have received about sounding whiny or being a victim is absolutely part and parcel of the same misogyny that is the reason why women receive different treatment when this happens.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And so I that's like, I want to tell people like why I didn't.
Yes.
That's why I didn't. That is the truth of it. That's why I didn't talk about it. I just wanted to protect everyone. I wanted to protect my family. I wanted the story to go away. I wanted people to stop talking about it and having my picture on the news. I wanted people to stop saying horrible things about me, about a whore and a slut, and please swallow a bottle of pills and drink a gallon of vodka and just go to sleep. I wanted all of that to stop. And I understand that men also, have gone through these things, and some have fared better than others, but it just seems like this was particularly harsh. Again, I don't want to say like I wasn't wrong. I was wrong. And what was different then
than with what we're talking about right now, as far as with the pictures, is this is something with Katie Hill, there being, photographic evidence of it.
Yeah.
And this also came up with the Franken stuff. And there was a guy down in Texas, his name's escaping me, who also had to resign because of pictures. I think that unfortunately this is going to be just much more of a reality now, because these damn phones that we all have are used to record every second of everybody's life. And then you're going to be much more, whether you're a normal person or whether you are in elective office, you are in much more of a position of threat, because a lot of things that used to be behind closed doors are now on someone else's phone.
People are sharing nudes.
Yeah.
People are taking photos. Technology has moved forward, and that is a reality.
We were talking on the way here. I think I have a solution. We need to normalize this. And I'm half joking, but actually serious.